Okay, hey guys. I hope this is not too much of an unfamiliar setting. Hi guys. Today my name is Andrea, and today I want to talk about stop trying to give an answer for a lesson you've just learned. Now, how do I come in this conclusion? How did I end up with these words? Or maybe I didn't word it right, but I kind of meant it in a way. So let me tell you why I say this. So I was put in a situation or a scenario where I had two choices that I did. Or let me just explain. Let's just start from the beginning. So I have to retake a class. And I don't know where you're from or like wherever you're located. It's not literally just a class, but I have to retake the whole year in the same year. So how did I end up in this situation? Let's go back to last year. So not about this school year, but the last school year. I had passed, as you can see, because I went from fourth to fifth. And to explain that to you guys is that I passed, but I had two warnings. I had a warning for maths, and I think I had a warning for something else, but I can't seem to remember what. But mainly, math was the problem. Yes, I didn't pass for math lesson for my exams, but there was like a a evolution. So I went from 30 to 40 something, and I went for 48. So I had a 48 for my last exam. I'm so sorry. Please don't, a big chest problem. But okay, ignore that. So I had passed, and he told me, my teacher told me, for your case, it was kind of difficult for us to see if you were gonna pass or you were gonna fail. And I kind of thought about it, and he was like, we can tell that you are going to do good, you are capable, but you need to put in more work. And I was like, I did kind of do my work, the first week, the first week always goes better than the second week. So I'm like, I took those words and I engraved those into my heart and my brain. Now, in my head, I just know that not in a safe zone. I'm definitely not in a comfortable zone. I'm definitely not in the safe zone. I'm kind of in the danger zone. Even though I passed, I'm still in the danger zone. Like I said, I had a warning for maths. So we go into this new year. I started maths. I was doing amazing. Like, I was confident in everything. I did the test. Like, I every exercise we were doing, I was putting my hand up, going to the board and solving them. It was even a competition with my friend. We were like, whoever could do the answer faster, or who does the most answer, or it was more of a competition. So I kind of enjoyed math classes. It was never a problem. But mind you guys, it's also like a revision of what we seen last year. That's always the first thing with the first trimester. It's always a revision of what we see last year. And that's why I'm always good at it in the first trimester, because it's nothing new that we're learning. It's something about you've seen last year. And it's one of those things you've seen last year, and it ends up being the easiest thing that you seen last year. So I was doing great. I had a test. But when I did the test, I forgot to study one part. And no, it's not that I forgot to study that part. I just forgot about that whole part where, I had to do that. And it's when I gave my test, I was like, oh shit, I forgot that. Excuse my language. But I was like, oh my days, I forgot you have to solve this and this like that. I still passed that test, but, the points weren't too good. And he also told me, like, I actually kind of expected better from me, because in the class it was going great or whatever. Let's go a little fast forward. We're doing our first exam in this new year, and that shit went horrible. Horrible, guys. When I tell you I had tears when doing that exam, it was the worst exam I could ever ask for. I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy. That's how terrible it was. So that exam went really terrible, and I really wasn't having it. And like, even on the way to school, the suicidal thoughts were strong. When I tell you, the enemy was present, the enemy was everywhere where I was going. but I still ended there safe, and I also ended up leaving safely. So I had an unfortunate event happen where the Wi-Fi was cut off, and it wasn't due to not paying the bills. It was because my parents wanted to change to another, organization that does like Wi-Fi, but they ended up changing it back because it's not located everywhere or whatever the problem was. But they ended up cutting the Wi-Fi while I was doing my exam, and that kind of resulted in me for lowering my points because yes, I could have went to the library and studied there. Okay, sorry. Like I said, I could have went to the library and studied there. I didn't have no Wi-Fi at home, so I could have went to the library. But you should know it's also exam period for secondary people, but it's also exams for people going to university. It's also the parents that are working or they can't work at home or they go to the library. So the library is overpacked, and there's only a set of numbers how many students could study, because the library is not only meant for students, it's also meant for parents, it's also meant for kids that are going there for their hobbies. It's meant for everyone. It's not just for students, not for people that are studying. It's not for people going to take an exam. It's made for everyone to enjoy. So there's only a set number of how many students we could study. When you have to study, or you can only study if you have a set thing. You have to give your ID, they give you this, and it's kind of a proof of like, hey, I can study here because I have this type of item. It's not always available because there's so many students that are coming from all school, and mind you, there's like 5 different schools in where I go to school to. So it's like we're all having exams at the same time, so it's gonna be harder. The competition's hard, and also my school is one of the schools that finished the latest, so we also have no chance of getting a place in the library. So that means I had to go home, wait every like 3 or 2 hours before the time that everybody starts leaving to go home to go eat or study the rest of their things at home. And let me just cut it short because I'm gonna make it longer than it is. I basically failed like a lot of exams. I failed history. I failed, math. Definitely failed that. Horrible. Sorry. I failed Dutch. I failed my most importantly exam was psychology. In social, psychology, I failed that. And all of the failures, all of the things that I failed, except math. Math was super bad. It was 19%. Yes, 19%, and I am ashamed. 19 is someone's age. Do you get that? Do you know how bad that is? But anyways, the rest of the exams were like in the 40s. The lowest that I had was like 42. And it wasn't like 42, 43. I had like 42, 46, 48, and then that was like 49, and like it was really close. The only like thing that I really had failed really bad was math, like I said. So I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I really gotta do my best second trimester. Second trimester, I do my best. But mind you, second trimester was kind of easier stuff. But on maths, I kind of gave up because it was so much, and I was stressing out so much, and I chose to take my mental health better than, because I was so scared of the first trimester of me having those thoughts again, where I decided to just stop it here and go to bed. So it went better. It surprisingly went better, and I have 48%. You get that 48%, and the exam was 100, so I just needed 2 points, extra points to pass. But I still ended up failing because my tests were bad. They were horrible. Third trimester, I ended up failing again, but not only did I fail maths again, I failed history again. So that was actually a problem. I also did kind of fail my Dutch exam in a way, but my points, like for my test or whatever, they kind of saved me at that point, so I didn't fail that. So, but like I failed for 49%. And guys, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was the speaking exam. The speaking exam I felt really well, but it was the writing part where I didn't study too well because there was so much you had to know for the speaking exam, and I focused on that, and I knew it was gonna be so hard. Mind you, guys, she told us she was not going to help it out. She said, the moment that I have to help you out is the moment that I know you didn't study. I'm like, oof. I'm like, damn, girl. Mind you, this my teacher that like, this my main teacher. This the teacher was like, if I do something bad, they gonna report to her. So I'm like, oh, what's bad? Like, she's not nice. Like, she's nice, but she's not nice in those type of settings. I'm like, girl, come on, we're like, we're your class. But anyways, so I ended up failing, and they decided for me to redo the year. And I felt so bummed out. I bawled my eyes out. I bawled my ass when they told me that. I bawled my ass leaving the classroom. I bawled my ass literally nearly leaving the school. And I bawled my ass off at home 3 days, like for like 3 whole days. I felt so depressed. I literally cried my ass to sleep. And guys, I kind of putting this in a whole long story, but I really want you guys to get the point. And it's only now that it came to the conclusion to me, where like me and my parents, we had an argument of, they were telling me that the first exams that I had were not their fault, and it was my fault because I hadn't studied well, or I didn't study in advance, and that I shouldn't blame it on the Wi-Fi, you know what I mean, with that first problem. And I think that fight was 2 days ago from now. And today I had made an appointment with my director to ask if, the principal, to ask if I, could like retake the exams, because my points are like 42 or something. So it's like, why shouldn't I be able to retake it? And he said, no, you need a valuable reason. Do you have family problems? Do you have a reason? Like, give me a really good reason. And I'm like, I am, like, in that moment, I was at loss of words. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't even say I was like, I felt so bad. I felt unmotivated. I felt there was this, there was that. At that moment, I just let it go. I really want to hear it, and I think he was really making it clear to me that, like, I don't see anything for you. I don't see any, like, I really don't see a reason for you to retake the exam. So, I decided to, I'm not going to argue about something, if it's a group of teachers telling me they don't believe in me, and like, they rather me redo the year. And mind you, they didn't even ask me to redo the year in what I'm studying right now. They asked me to redo the year in something lower. I'm like, hell nah, I'm not doing that. But, the main point is redoing the year. So I go out of school, and I'm thinking, like, I was about to cry my ass off again. I had one tear, literally from this, no, it was this eye. And I didn't cry, but I literally had one tear, and I felt like I was going to cry. I told myself, you're not going to cry. You're not going to cry right now. These are the results of your own actions. So I go down, and I call my dad, and I tell him the reason. And there was a miscommunication with my dad at that moment, but my dad came very calmly and told me, hey, I know you're trying, but like, I'm going to give you 2 choices. I want you to decide, what do you want to do? And he tells me, hey, do you think we should write a mail and explain, hey, you don't have no Wi-Fi or this, that, and that was a reason, that give him concrete dates and give him evidence of everything that, what kind of went down that period, that first period? Or do you think I want to redo the year and know that I'm definitely going to pass? Sorry, because my phone is kind of moving. And know that you're definitely going to pass, and you're going to pass the next year as well. So when you pass the 5th year, you're going to pass the 6th year as well. And those words kind of sat with me, in between me thinking that he was talking, and like, he was more adamant to me redoing the exams and like writing the mail. But I think he was more adamant because he saw me do more effort for that. And I feel like the reason why I didn't want to do more effort is because where I live, or in the society we live, retaking your year, or being in a year where you, as your age, don't match with, is so embarrassing. And I really sat with those words when he told me to decide both. And I really thought about it. I was like, redoing my year is really not that bad. It's not that deep, Like, I don't need to give an answer like this. I just learned a lesson. I'm redoing my year, and this is the lesson that I'm gonna learn, and that's gonna stick for me, and it's gonna replay my year when I get older. It's gonna help me out. And I'm thinking like, why am I trying so much to prove prove an answer for the lesson that I just learned? Like, tone it down. Like, it's like you just learned it. Like, take it with you, let it sit deep into you, and then take action. You're only defined after you're like, you as a person is only defined after you get taught a lesson. I'm so sorry. You are only defined after. Let's say I fight with someone and I get hurt and I scratch. Like it's like it disfigures me. Someone disfigures my face, and I'm gonna be like, next thing I know, I'm not gonna fight with that person. But why am I trying to justify my action? Look, hey, it is already like that. Sit down. Next thing you know, think about the consequences if you still go and argue with someone. What could happen or whatever? Do you really want to go back to that result? No, we'll let it sink in. So I really thought about it, and I'm like, why am I not just gonna redo my year? I know it's kind of embarrassing because I am the youngest. I am the youngest of six, and everyone passed without having to redo their year. And I feel like the pressure is on me because if I don't attain to the certain standards that my siblings have left for me, I feel like it's worse. And even as a last child, like, you have more opportunities to fail, you have more opportunity to do, you're more free, or the burden lowers. I feel like that, like, tore me more is because my siblings have lowered the burden for me so much because they did this, it didn't work out. They did this and didn't work out. But they made it for they basically ran for me to even walk, for me to even crawl. Because basically now I was supposed to walk, but I was crawling instead. So basically I sat down and I'm like, my dad is pushing more towards me, retaking the exams. But I was like, I think I want to redo my year. And I feel like it's nothing to be ashamed of. I feel like I know myself. I will take this into a deep lesson and I'll learn from it. And you know what the funniest thing, like, I just had a flashback, and you know what the funniest thing is, that last year in the fourth year when I got my points and my results, and I had passed. In my head, when walking alone, I said, I actually kind of hope they let me redo that year in fourth year, because I didn't feel confident in my points, and I knew there's a possibility for me to redo the year. But I know that they saw how much effort I put in and to show them I could do fifth year, that they just decided to let me go. But I, like, these were my exact, you know how God works? Like, these were my exact thought in the head. I kind of hope that they let me redo the year. And I was like, but I have to be happy because I passed, because that's what I wanted. But deep in my heart, it's like a memory that I forgot. I was like, I kind of wished for that. I kind of happened, and my actions kind of resulted towards that, but I kind of acknowledged it at this point. But I don't know why I'm not acknowledging it now, because my actions definitely showed me. I definitely, I had basically accepted my actions at that point, even though unfortunately I was like, no, I'm not leaning towards that, because I showed them that, like, hey, I don't want to lean towards that. But this year I literally showed them that I'm leaning towards that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, like, you kind of predicted it, you know what I mean? So why are you shocked for the outcome? So I sat down with myself and I thought about it. I thought about it and I thought about it. I'm like, I think I want to lean to redo my year. And yes, guys, I know it's not that Pinterest perfect type of story that you would like. I'm like, hey, let me fight for it. Like it's better to fight for it than to cry for it. Like, no, guys, I can cry for it. Take it as a lesson, engrave it, and learn from it. And that later on, if I have someone that is asking me for answer, because this whole time I've been asking people, hey, what would you do in my place and whatever. But like, in order for other people to ask me that same situation, I need to go through it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want someone to come and ask me something, what you think I should do in their place. And like, I'm like, hey, I had this go through that, and it's like, hey, I know how it feels. I know I know what's going through your thought at this moment. So I think I'm leaning towards of redoing my year. And I also have a friend that's redoing the year, and I thought about redoing it. I had a possibility. I was like, maybe I should redo the year and then take a easier class or like an easier major so I can do that and like pass definitely. But I feel like that's going more the easy road, and I don't want to underestimate it also, you know. And I'm like, hey, I used to, when I was younger, I used to pray for God to let me succeed, but not succeed on the easy way. And I felt like I kind of gave up on the prayers that I had before, because look at me now. I want to go the easy road, even though I was praying for him to let me be successful and go the hard road, so that whenever I'm successful, I can share the story with you guys like I'm doing right now. So I think, guys, I'm not gonna go the easy road, and I took the worst road, but the rocky road or whatever you guys call it, and decided to retake the path that I already took, but instead of crawling, walking. So at the end of the day, guys, stop trying to give an answer, a reason, or an excuse, or, you know, for something that is supposed to be a lesson. A lesson is supposed to be taken in, you know, thought about it, see possibilities, ways of how to evolve from that lesson. You know, it's not an embarrassment. It's like, it's all embarrassing until you succeed, guys. It's okay. Like, I know I haven't succeeded yet, but I see this as a thing for me to rewatch when I'm in my deepest moment or my lowest moment and say, hey, you remember these wise words that you told yourself? So I really, really hope, guys, that if you're in a dark place like I was in the moment and I felt so devastated about my classes or my points, that this will help you out, because like, I wish someone had a video like this for me to see or to watch, and to learn from, of course, because what are we on YouTube for? We're on to learn, to get something, you know, get more wisdom out of something, at least, even though even if it's like a get ready with me, you know, there's a hack or trick you can always learn from her, something. So I really hope that this video was something that helped you out or something you could relate to. And if you have any you know, any words of wisdom, I think anyone in the comment section would love to check it out and see how it works to them, for them, or how they would apply, or what their thoughts are what their thoughts or opinion is about it. I really hope you guys can like and subscribe, and also comment, and have any videos, ideas, or topics you guys want me to talk about. I can only talk about topics that I experienced, or topics where I, you know, heard about or know about more something. I can't give you an answer for a situation that I don't know, because I don't think I could give you the correct one unless I experience it myself, because you only know how it truly feels until you've gone through it. But you guys can ask or tell me any video ideas you guys want to hear, and let me know, guys. So like, comment, and subscribe. I hope I can see you guys again. I hope I can become consistent like I always wished for. But if you see this, guys, take it as a lesson and dwell on it. Do not just try to find a solution or an answer or give it an answer right now. Dwell on it a bit and learn from it. So thank you, guys. Bye.